there's been a rising awareness at all levels of game development and game publishing organizations of the idea of data and KPIs and metrics and how you can use the data and the connection to your customers and your customers' behavior to guide the evolution of your game in a way that best benefits the players. Now, the problem with data that you will find when you first get started using an analytic system to evaluate your game is that you don't have anything to evaluate against, right? You have this number, but you really don't know what the number means because the number is really only valuable relative to something else. And even if you have some good metrics across multiple games within your organization, you still only know how well you're doing against yourself. And so a company like MediaMonk, and this is Sebastian SUJKA, the CEO of MediaMonk, can help with that. And I think that's what you're here to talk about, right?
Absolutely.
All right, well then let's do it.
Thanks a lot, David. Actually, it's Metrics Monk. But yeah, I will. No, that's okay. It's okay.
That's not what I said? What did I say?
Said MediaMonk.
Oh yeah, that's a different company. Sorry.
I'm gonna forgive you one day. So we are Metrics Monk. We do Facebook and mobile app analytics. You might have known us as AppStats before. So just to avoid the confusion, we didn't make that clear when we rebranded because we just did it before the week. So what I'm gonna do today is first I'm gonna, as you know, you got this flyer from the Casual Connect where we're giving you free access to our platform. It's in your bag as well as in your badge. So I encourage you to check in and make sure that I'm not lying to you because it's 4 o'clock, so we can make this a bit interactive. So if you check on what I'm saying, you might as well have the chance to ask me questions that I won't be able to answer. So this is the website and the login credentials that you have as well. And one thing that I wanted just to clarify quickly because this is a question we got asked a lot before. You all noticed the Facebook reporting change, but we're still providing data. Just want to say that this is although Facebook is reporting tiers and rankings, we are still able to give you really precise estimates, basically based on the fact that we could evaluate the historic data that we have available, and we still know the number of apps in the tiers and their relative ranking. So we still can do a 90%, 92% plus accuracy for more than 99% of the games, and that's being conservative. So that's just a question that you're going to ask me at the end. I'm answering right now. So I was supposed to, when I chose the title, where you stand in the industry, I thought yeah, it's not going to be a problem. I'm going to be able to tell you exactly where you stand. I'm going to show off the product. I'm going to send you some benchmarks. But then I realized it's just by the people that dropped off our booth, it's impossible for everybody to walk out. So I can serve just a really small fraction of people. So I decided to make this not a product demo and basically just clear a couple of questions that successful gaming companies do with data and less successful do less. So I want to start with a story, how it our personal history all started. So we were here, we founded the company basically exactly 4 years ago at the Casual Connect, 2009. So thanks to the Casual Connect for letting us in back then, although we didn't have a clue. And I remember the first lecture I listened to. I came in, dropped my bag, had a lecture. It was Rex from 6 Waves, who I was really impressed with because he was a really data-driven guy. He was telling me stuff about ARPU, RPPU, MAU, DAO, and I remember writing down a lot of things that I just wouldn't understand. And a lot of things changed ever since. Companies in-app companies came, in-name analytics companies start popping up, just Contagion, Swerve, just to name a few who do excellent work. But that was more of the internal analytics part. When it came to external analytics, which is kind of what we do, which is the big picture of the industry, in 2009, it was MAU and DAO. And nobody really knew what that meant. Ceteris paribus, it's more MAU and DAO are better than less MAU and DAO, but it's still, question remains how valuable this information is, and how we know how history taught us is it's not the only indicator of success. And 2013, like as with Zlatan, some things changed, some didn't. So it's still kind of mounted down, and it's still the currency is also on the mobile track. It's also like it's downloads, but like hardly ever anybody talks about what those downloads mean and like how the quality of the downloads looks like. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask 3 questions, or like 3 questions that you can ask for yourself. And these are three basic questions about data that like successful gaming companies on Facebook and mobile are able to answer very well, and less successful companies do less. Which is the first one: where does the market shift to? Relatively straightforward. What do users do, and who is it competing for your users? So, as I said, I didn't want to show off the product. I just like showing you basic thing. This is actually like a free feature. So you can see where the market is shifting. This is data over last year. And these are all the categories on Facebook. And you can see arcade growing crazy, puzzle growing crazy, casino is what you expected. But like the takeaways are also that on Facebook, through the Game Center, a trend started that was also before just present on the App Store. So it's not anymore about like which category your game describes your game the best. It's also where it is easiest to get discovered, because the rise of puzzle, the super rise of puzzle, and if we add monthly, and the red one is annual data, and the monthly is the blue one is monthly data. So you can see that in puzzle you have like an extraordinary growth. And the reason for that is that developers started to categorize match 3 games as puzzle games. Previously, they've been branded as arcade games, but now it's puzzle, because it is kind of puzzle, and it's easier to get recommended in this category. So you can also see that in our own, we redid the categories in our system because we didn't find them to be really precise. So we did like big categories and subcategories, and this is this is the other big category. So you can see like the arcade and action is definitely the most growing one. And if you want to know this is probably in line with what you're thinking, but I encourage you, as it's like again a bit late. You can as well log in and play around with trends. So if you, I don't know if I have a pointer. No, I'd rather do it. You can play around with the different categories, and you can spot like trends on a weekly basis. So if you put them into context, you will be able to get some answers about like where the market is shifting if you do this over a continuous time. So the other thing is, what do your users do? And initially I was thinking that I would show you like different categories, and we'll show you user behavior of the different categories. But I actually had that prepared, but it took me 2 hours to do the presentation, like to present it, and the second time that like basically I was approached to talk a lot about the social gambling genre. So I would like to share some data of social gambling, and like in particular, I'd like to show. I'm going to show the examples of user behavior on slot games and on poker games. So let's start with poker first. The reason I'm showing you this is that you think you know what your users do in your game, most likely. You have the analytics to do it, but if it comes to knowing what the users do outside of your game, you or most people usually don't really have a clue. So you assume if you have a farming game, they're going to play other farming games. If you have a casino game, they're going to play a casino game, and so forth and so forth. And you're probably right as well to some extent, but the extent really matters, and I'm going to show you why. So this is an example I'm showing you is a polar chart of 99 domino poker. So this means this shows you how like 100% of the 99 domino poker users play 99 domino poker, and then the other table is showing you what else they are playing. And as you would have expected, a lot of them are playing other poker games, but it's a bit scattered. It's poker games, and it's like well, Car Town. It's mixed. And you get a better picture if you look at the categories. So we categorize poker as social gambling, and compare this with other categories. So you can see there's a clear tendency towards social gaming and also card and board games, which is also kind of this category. So you would be right that those users are likely to play these games, but they're also likely to play other sorts of games. Another example, same thing, Live Hold'em Pro. Basically the same thing. You can see poker games, you can see other relatively complex games, so there's no surprise there that like poker players are not the most casual players. They're they do play more complex games. So you would be right, and if you look at the categories chart again, you can also see the same tendency. You see social gambling, you see card and board games up, and you see complex role-play games. What I want to show you now is slots, just as a comparison, because it's like things you can learn from the user behavior, and it's mainly like it's two layers. One is game design wise, so if you know what other things the players are doing, you know what their preferences are, because you can look at those games and see like what might be the common ground of your game and the game that is also played. And the other thing is, I'm not an artist, I'm a biz guy, so the other thing is obviously targeting. So if it's paid targeting, if it's ads, also targeting corporations of all sorts of sense. So you need to know what they are doing. And if it comes to slots, you can see a really interesting case, because poker already was kind of unambiguous, but if you go in slots, it's getting more extreme. So if we take Lucky Slots as an example, you can see Lucky Slots users play slots, and they play slots only. You can see the number 1 application is slots, the number 2 application is slots, the number 3 application is slots, the number 4 application is, I actually don't know, House of Fun, I think it's a slot game as well. Then it's again slots, Slot Farm, then it's Best Casino, which is casino, and it continues with slots. So it's fair to say that people that do play slot games only, and play different slot games. And I get my guess, and like what I encourage you to check out as well in the data, is that maybe also depending on the quality of your slot game, you will have less differentiation. So probably players that are happy with your game play less other slot games. And you can also check this out. This is a beautiful polar chart. So you can basically say that if you do target anything else, if you have a slot game and you target anything else in a slot game, you're throwing away money, might as well give it to me. I have some very good use for it, but yeah, you shouldn't advertise it in other ones. So you have a really clear polar chart. So again, this means that of the people that play the game, over 60% of them play only slot games. So it's basically no overlap with other categories. I'm going to show you another example, which is basically the same thing. Again, slot game, slot spot, casino, 1 slot game, 2 slot game, 3 slot game, 4 slot game. You get the idea. Again, same polar chart as well. You can, yeah, it's basically the same thing. So this is important for as I said, for 2 reasons: for marketing and for targeting, for the game designer, for targeting. And initially in my presentation I had to cut it down. I wanted to show you some VUGA data, I want to show you some King.com data, but again, encouraged you can do that yourself, because then you can see how usually this polar chart is really mixed. You can see that like if you have like more casual games, it's very spread, and this is a really concentrated one. So yeah, check it out. And like, so your homework would be to check this out, and like I'm sure you can draw conclusions on your own company. So the third question is like, who is competing for your users? And this is like, if I usually tell this to people, I get the look in their eyes like, okay, where are my rotten vegetables to throw at Sebastian? Because like obviously we know who is competing for our users. The reason why people think that is they think like, well, we have a farm game, so obviously the competition is other farm games. We have a match 3 game, so obviously the competition is another match 3 game. If you are a slot developer, then you are right, as I just showed you, so it's totally justified to throw vegetables in my direction. But for most people, this is actually not true. And I think this is like a really fundamental mistake of how people mishandle their targeting based on the lack of data. And to make this, maybe to show this more plastic, because like, I did it on slides, but it didn't really catch me. Like maybe a story before like was entering gaming. I'm actually like from the e-commerce. I was doing e-commerce a lot, and if you do e-commerce startups with little money, over time you need to become an SEO expert, or as a company you need to become an SEO expert. So if you want to decide like what exactly it is you're targeting, you need to find out exactly who your competition is. And the way you do it, the way most people do it, and this is why the most people don't do it well, is that they do e-commerce top down. They decide they see the product, they decide on the wording, they do the website, and then they decide on the advertising. And this just doesn't work, because then you do this without optimizing it. So the way you do it bottom up. If you're selling chairs online, you go on the keyword tool, you put chairs on the keyword tool, and then Google will tell you, okay, 50,000 people in your region look for buy chairs online, 60,000 do like buy chairs online, 100,000 say buy leather chairs online, and then you can see like which one matches your product best, and then try to target on that. But like the process is actually not finished, because you know all the different keywords, but now you have to check out the competition. Now you have to take every single one, like buy leather chairs online, put it on Google, click on it, and then evaluate the competition. And based on that competition, you will have to find out if you can compete with those people. So I don't know how much you know about search optimization, but it's basically, probably forgive me if you do, and I tell you stuff that you already know, but it's there's sites that, like, if they're an index, it's impossible to block them. You need like a lot of firepower. So if you put like chairs, maybe a bad example, but if you can put buy chairs online in the search engine, and you get the results saying like first page is a White House site, second page is a Wikipedia site, third page is like the New York Times, you know you don't have a chance. Like even if your product is good and it matches the description, you don't have the chance to compete with those other sites, because it's going to take you way too long time. They have way more firepower or trust from Google. So if you decide this is too much competition, you keep going keep looking through the words. Like in our case, it took our team like 4 people back in the days for 2 days, just this process, until we figured out like, okay, where's our niche? Where can we compete? And this is what you should do in gaming as well. You should not, like, most people say, okay, we build a farm game, so the competition is farm game, so we only look at farm games. And this is why they stop. What I would encourage you to do is, also you can check it out yourself, if you have a certain game, or you want to build a certain game, you know what your audience is, you know what your demographics is, pick the ones that your strong demographics, your most important demographics. Let's say your most important demographics is males between 18 and 25 in France. And then you can use, for example, a tool or other tools, but hopefully our tool, to put that in the advanced filters and look actually who are the users who does have the most users in this category, say 18 to 25, male and French. And then what I promise you, what you're going to see, is that it's not the thing that you expect. It's not, if you do a farm game and you think like, yeah, this is my competition, it's not going to be farm. It's going to be the competitors that you just didn't see coming, but they are the ones that you will be competing against, because they have the users that you have or you want, and you need to decide if this is something that you can put up with, if this is a niche where you can compete successfully. So very crucial to know who you are competing against. Good companies do it well, bad companies, or like less successful companies, don't do it well. So metrics, it's like from our conversation with developers, we can see really clear case people that like really take this to the heart, implement this, get their targeting right, save a lot of money, and manage to this. So the moral of the story is your best guess remains a guess. If you think, I think my players do that kind of this kind of behavior, show this kind of behavior, I think the trend is going to be X and Y. You're guessing, and like the question is if it's about your game design and your targeting and your marketing expenses, if you should be guessing, or if you should have a different approach, a data-driven approach. So it's like two things that I wanted to show, like how that exemplify this. Like it's a really good book by Dan Ariely about irrational behavior. So it talks a lot about irrational behavior, about in our everyday lives, in business, and the consequence of it. And like one element that I want to stress about this is that it also shows that if you act irrationally, you're really convinced that acting irrationally is right. If you like are a super charismatic CEO saying like, I'm really sure this is right, like you are really sure that this is right. And the only thing that can convince you that otherwise, and that you should listen to if you want to be guessing, is data. So this is like a picture I like. There was a really good article the other day on, like, I think it was Gigaom, saying data killed the hippo star, which was at least among my friends really well received. So don't listen to the highest paid personality or individual person in the company. Listen to the data. Don't be guessing. So that's my input for you today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sebastian. Do we have any questions? No questions at all? I had a question. I always do when there's no questions in the audience. Where did that data come from that you were showing earlier in the presentation?
That data was from the Facebook Insights API and other Facebook APIs. So we basically pull all available data and present it in a good way. There's also, like within the product, I think I showed some things that were also pulled from the app stores. That would be our mobile data.
Awesome.
So it's different sources.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that a question? That's a request. Did you have a question as well? No, just a request.
But it's also, again, it's in the flyer. Thanks. It's in the flyer and also in the badge. It's like next to wireless. You can check it out. And it's also for next week. So if you are too busy to check it out now, we Connect talked us into giving you the service for free for next week as well.
He says it's not working.
I will forward that problem. I will get back to you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Sebastian.
Thank you very much.